Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Agencies Talk. This is Digital Marketer's weekly talk show where we get to sit down with agency professionals and industry experts. Today, we're sitting down with Axel Simon. Axel was the main shareholder of a five-star Superior hotel that opened in 1856. He has run several businesses in developing databases and applications, corporate restructuring of owner-managed businesses, and invested himself in MLM, and then ventured into social media during COVID as a Meta certified community manager. That's how we're buddies. His most recent area of work is helping well-established business owners to reactivate communication with their clients. So today, Axel will be taking us through unlocking the power of reconnection, strategies for established business owners to revitalize client communication. And as a reminder, if you're going to be coming onto the Zoom, definitely say hi, ask your questions, and we'll make sure we get that taken care of for you. And as always, we're joined by Mark de Grasse, president of Digital Marketer, and the host for today's Agencies Talk. So Mark, take it away.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and welcome, Axel. I'm so excited to talk to you. I think we have a bunch of stuff to talk about because right now, I think, is the biggest opportunity that agencies have to kind of establish themselves or get ready to establish themselves next year. A lot of us, a lot of people just coast through this time where it's like, we'll get Black Friday done, then we're all going on vacation for a couple months. But the smart ones, I think, are making plans right now, setting up what they want to achieve for next year and finishing this year strong because it's not over. And I think what you do and we're going to talk about today could have a big impact on everybody's next year. So welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. It's real fun right now because I'm working with many companies who usually are older than 15 to 20 years. So they're well established on the market and they all opened their own personal traps. And they're kind of similar traps they opened. First of all, they usually spend up to 4 times the money they spend on getting new clients, and just a tiny 20% actually on getting brand ambassadors, really taking care about their clients and really binding them to their brand and to their individual brand voice. And it's pretty fun because we've got some major companies running around here like John Deere when we talk about farming. And many of the companies who are really specialized on service now really cover under the brand. So they reproduce catalogs, websites, inputs, whatever they can get, and they lose their soul. And they absolutely forget why they are in the business, what they are doing, and how they can really work and establish connections with their clients, being the best marketing tool imaginable, because nobody can sell better than a client.
That's so true. Well, nobody knows more about you and your service and everything that you do well better than your client. So it's it's even better than trying to hire good salespeople and train them how awesome your company is. These people are actually using the service, love you, and could send you new business. And hopefully the business is like them since they like you so much. So I love that. But for a lot of people, I think there's like a stigma that if you go to your clients and you say, hey, do you have anybody else that they're spamming them, or they feel, like it's asking too much because they're already getting paid by the client and now you're asking them for more business. How do you get around that kind of, block? Because I don't think it's true at all. I think your best clients want to send you business.
Actually, I love the idea of Billy Brass with the idea of this VIP day for his 5 light bulbs. And actually, I did that in the last years, and I will now stick with Billy to use it as the term VIP day. Usually I talk to the executives or owners and ask them about their mission statement. What was their idea when they started the company or when they got into the position? And then sometimes you already see a gap between the marketing material running around and the actual basic attention they had. And then I'm a pretty creepy guy because I usually ask first about, let me take a look at your accounting. May I talk to the head of your accounts aging? So first thing you can see.
It's bold, but it's completely necessary. Yeah, well, I think it's, I forget who I was talking with yesterday, but one of the things we talked about is that, marketing should be very pervasive on every aspect of the business, because if it's not, it leads to exactly what you just said, which is the owner has this mission and this, philosophy and all these intentions with the brand, but that's not flowing through to any other part of the organization. So if, it sounds like you start with accounting to kind of figure out like, where's the money? That's
First
fantastic.
thing, who pays first? Who pays last? And then I usually take these kind of addresses and daughters and went down to service department and asked the head of the service department and even some technicians, can you remember this name? What does this name tell you? What's the story behind it? And by that, you really see sometimes gaps coming up, or really distances building up between the well-formulated marketing and the reality. And what I love most about it is bring reality back into the business. So I'll get myself the allowance to talk to the clients. And I usually talk to the top of the list, 10 who made more revenue or turnover last year, and those who dropped off, and ask them why. And it's fun because usually the actual brand or company personality dropped off somewhere when they're going down, or they changed to a new position that somebody else really liked. And it's really fun when you talk to a technician and tell him, do me a favor, call Mr. XYZ and ask him if we can do an interview, just to generate client-generated content about his experience with you as a person and the company behind you. And with that material, I usually ask for an executive meeting with the marketing company or the agency who's usually working for them, and present their marketing ideas, whatever they produced, and the client-generated content. And ask them, hey, do you see a difference? And sometimes I get thrown out, but most of the time I get the contract.
Wow. That's fantastic. Well, and you're going to the source, because I think it's very easy for people, especially marketers, to talk around issues, if they're not being effective, or really they just came in and became dominating. Because a lot of I'm not saying a ton of marketers, but a lot of marketers go in and they're like, you know what, everything you're doing is trash. The website's bad, and your copy's bad, and your messaging is off, and blah blah. And they'll basically shift any blame to the previous marketing person, and then they'll be like, and I have the solution, versus what you're talking about doing, which is talking to the owner, talking to the customer, and then coming up with some kind of information that is informing what you should do next, which is fantastic. But how long does that take when you're doing that kind of learning?
Actually, the initial one, it takes about 3 hours, the first meeting.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's just running around the business and get other people feeling uncomfortable. Because I usually come in there like, hey, you need somebody to put blame on, it's me. I get paid for it. So if you've got some negative thoughts, drop them with me. I love them. I collect everything you can get. It's like being the buffer in the system. Wow. And when you come up with some first conclusions like, well, you are perfectly copy of John Deere, but you as Mr. Smith, what are you doing? Are you John Deere or are you Mr. Smith? Where's your personal brand? Why should I recommend somebody to you to buy a combine at your place and not by your competitor? And at that moment, usually somebody gets silent and comes up, is there a solution? I said, yeah, your personal brand voice, who you are, what you stand for, what do you think are your highlights, and what are your main competitors you would like to love or would love to work with? Because nobody is a superhero in this business. You always need somebody else to give you a backup.
Love that. Well, and it's funny because we all love to be like self-aware and be able to answer those questions like, oh no, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and blah blah blah. But a lot of times you just get stuck in the day-to-day operations, and you tend to forget those things, the why and the original intention that you had. So does this process that you go through where you're just asking these questions, does that remind them of it and kind of convince them that, hey, you have the information all along? Or
I would say around about 75% really get the point, and 25 really sit there like arms crossed, most negative approach. No, we stick to our marketing idea, and then come on, let them go. But the thing is, with the others, I even saw some executives crying because They said, you opened a vault here that we never dared to open because we put up some new program software in there, including our marketing. We're doing lots on social media. We've got a high reach, but no conversion. And I stupidly asked why. Is groovy talk? Are you too smart for your clients? Or do you actually in a situation that you do not understand your clients anymore? And that's the thing that especially we as marketers should really be aware of. If we do not speak the language of the clients of our customers, let's get our fingers off the property. It won't work.
No, and I think that says it all right there, because I think here at Digital Marketer and Scalable, and we're always talking about scaling and systems and being able to step back from the kind of managing role of the business. Do you think there's a balance between being a marketer, an agency owner, a business owner, and having that kind of automation without losing the connection with the actual customer?
I think that's the highest risk situation you have. The more perfect you get, the more mistakes you make. Because you tend not to listen anymore. You judge the book by the cover. You come into a property, you do your background research, you look at the websites, you look at the social media appearance and all that stuff, and then you already made up your mind. You came up already with a decision. They are in a situation like blah, blah, blah. What I do, because coming from the approach of a business consultant and as a coach, as a systemic coach, I like to ask questions. And I love to interact with people to understand where they are and if they are really on the way still to their personal goals and targets or business targets, or did they already lost track? And many times I see that they really lost track. Sometimes by extremely sleek marketing agencies who produced a picture that they could never fulfill, or that they really stuck in their daily business. And I usually ask them, okay, let's pick a figure. You pay around about $100,000 a year for sales and marketing. Get me 50 of that to establish a really good client communication. So talking to accounting first, that whatever is done will be on the invoice the next day. An invoice should be out there in 24 hours. Have the leader or the chief of the staff or sales department call this key client the same moment the deal is done. Are you satisfied? Can we do something better? Recall them after 6 weeks. Are you still satisfied with the stuff you got? And things like that. So really bringing up the positive spirit and spin back into the mind of the clients. And then after a certain time, like you did or do with actual digital marketers, bring them into a situation like a brand ambassador. Would you mind give us some time for an interview? Is there something specific about your company our company that you would recommend? And usually after at least maximum 6 months, the client says, yeah, there's something specific, Mr. Miller in department XYZ, it's perfect to work with them. So you get the recognition within the staff and you get the recognition from the client.
Well, I love how you set up as a system too, because I think a lot of times you have companies that'll be like, well, we do our annual survey and that'll take care of listening to the customer, versus what you're saying, which is every 6 weeks. Because, my experience is unless you do it on a regular basis, you'll just get that default, like, yeah, things are going fine, whatever. But it seems like, and tell me if I'm wrong, that the more you ask, the more it's kind of front of mind for them. And then they start, maybe 2 or 3 of these sessions in, they'll start opening up. Is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you're really open a business to a really open market. I use again this John Deere thing. And you need a proper electrician specialized on cars and all that stuff, and somebody in the next town. I usually ask him why he's not on your payment list. Recommend him. Ask him, can I recommend you in case XYZ? So even a small company can grow into a personal brand situation or a bigger brand situation. And the same moment this guy specialized in any kind of electronics in the car or combine will call you back and ask you for service and support. So you build chains, service chains, and the first in the chain will always be the head of the chain. So it's a chance.
I love that. Well,
and
it's
beginning of the 80s, we had somebody, I guess it was George DeBerf, he came up with a book, How to Win a Customer and Keep Him Forever. The first thing was never to argue with a client, always recommend, and if you're not able to fulfill his needs, tell him so. Be honest. And it's fun to work with people like that.
Oh, yeah.
I can give you a good example. I worked in the IT business for more than 25 years, even for construction and things like that. I had the problem inside my house the day before yesterday, and I called one of my old clients. I said, hey, come on, I need a replastering of the wall. Within 24 hours, they did it. Because they remembered me as somebody who was on call. When they had a problem, I jumped into the car, drove over, and they reacted the same after more than 10 years.
Wow.
So that's the idea of really building up personal brands. And that is something that I really love about marketing, even digital marketing, because digital marketing can help you with that. You can take all your old marketing material, run it through AI, and ask the AI, is it still up to date? Is it understandable? How many people already changed their mind, their voice, their way of understanding things? Can I still work with it? Does it need an update, or is it sometimes even groovy to keep it like it is? The old-fashioned way. Yeah. Think about the old Coca-Cola logos, huh?
That's a great point too, because I think a lot of times when we think of like new, like it's a new campaign, it's a new message, a new theme, and we think we have to change everything to, commit to the new vision, versus what you're saying, which is talk to your customers, find out what they like, and maybe the entire issue that you thought needed to change doesn't have to change at all, because the issue was not the logo color or the website being functional enough, or because I think as business owners and marketers, you get in your head and you're like, well, if we were doing our pixel settings correctly, then we'd be popping off and everything would be awesome. But just going to the customers you like, you could actually find out this information without changing anything at first. And then you could go into these conversations with the business owner informed with information from your customer. Because, most business owners have, the same thing. They have their own vision. Like, no, this is the problem. Here's what we do right. Here's what we do wrong. And this is what we need to fix. And at the end of the day, it's really just an opinion, extremely biased opinion. That's probably wrong. So I love your approach. Do you have to sell the client on letting you do this, and do you have a messaging for that of this process, or do you have some people you go in and they're like, you know what, we know exactly what we want from the marketing program, when they don't, and then you have to sell them on the customer experience?
I'm in an extremely lucky situation because I got recommended. I'm working just on recommendations. I do not go into public with whatever I do. I get recommended from client to client.
Nice.
And here we don't even have, we have the Chamber of Commerce, but we have that for all kind of craftsmanship too. So whenever they hang around, they talk to each other. And sometimes I set out in round mailing, informing them about the idea. Hey folks, when did you talk to your customers last time? For those who work with me, are your polls still up to date? Did you change anything within your personal offers? Did you change anything within your structure? Are there new employees to be recommended to your clients? Things like that, just to give them some hit words where they can rely on it. And sometimes they even print these emails out and take them to their business breakfast. Like, just talk with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those little business meetups I think are super valuable. And, you know, if you are somebody who's like, I'm too busy to get coffee with people for no reason, start doing coffee for no reason. Because if somebody wants to meet with you, there's probably a business opportunity in there, even if you don't recognize what it is, or you think that what they do is too unrelated to what you do to work or whatever it is. Like, still go to that. Actually, Michelle, do we have a question?
No, but I just wanted to call back to something earlier, because earlier Axel made a comment about how important, you know, your personal brand is. He mentioned those people who recognized his dedication from 10 years earlier, and now his business is essentially entirely referral based, because Axel has built such a strong brand in himself and in his business. So now people literally are sending leads to him.
Yeah.
Like that's so important, and that's very special. Referrals are so strong when it comes to leads,
and they're so cheap.
Yes.
Well, and you know, I think there's an aspect of referrals that doesn't get enough credence, where it's, you know, that person, that client that was referred by that person that really likes you is probably going to be somebody you want to work with because they've been pre-qualified by the referral partner, because they don't want to send you crap. If you're sending them good business,
a lot of time.
A lot of time. No,
and they even know the prices. They know what I'm charging. It's around about two grand a day. That's the standard. Working with me, and the rest is coming up with the deal itself. And I usually ask them, okay, if you want to work together, think about at least 3 to 6 months. I will not be present there permanently, but I will come up and ask you really nasty questions. And we will set up a kind of schedule and task list to be fulfilled. And I'm really picky about it because I tend to call the staff of the company. Have they already talked to you? What did they do? And they learned something from a guy from Amazon. When we have our talks, we do that standing. And there's no material previously sent or before that sent out. It will be all on the table. So we run through the whole material during the meeting. Because we all know we can read fast, but we do not read. We just fly over the pages.
So true.
And so all the questions can be presented on the spot. And with presentation, I'm really nasty too, because I said, okay, more than 10 words on one sheet are really taking my mind. And when I usually go into a meeting, I can go in there with a blank page and I post it with at least or maximum 5 words on it, just representing the topics we want to talk about that day. Because I want to keep my mind open to understand what the people need. Is there really a problem, or is it miscommunication? In many companies, you have got more miscommunication, misunderstandings than real problems.
Yeah. Companies have indigestion instead of starvation, right? Where it's too much going on, and a lot of it's fluff. And I think that's why, you know, when you say you talk to the, you know, their accounting department to find, you know, what's really going on, that makes a huge difference. Now, do you have like a standard meeting protocol? Because I think that's super interesting. If you could just go into a business, say, hey, we're going to meet for 3 hours. And then how do you sell them on that process? Because even a 3-hour meeting for a lot of people is like, whoa, that's so long. What are we going to do for that?
Usually they, because standard is that they're coming in like, you've got problems, you need somebody to be responsible, you need to put somebody to put the blame on. The first one is on me. So
love that.
And then the next question is usually with the owner or the executive manager, which departments do hate each other most? Sometimes it's development and sales. Sometimes it's engineering and sales. Sometimes it's service and engineering. And I would love to have all of them in the meeting.
Oh my gosh, you're like a business therapist.
Yeah, it's fun. It's because I learned it that way. I enjoyed it that way, and it's most amusing for everybody. And it gives a lot of power and energy into that.
Oh yeah.
Because the first thing is, do not address somebody as having or being guilty. Think positive. Think about solutions. First thing I usually do is I collect problems. I said, okay, I looked at whatever you did, your marketing material. I talked to some of your clients I already know. What do you think are your major problems you have in the company? What are your major advantages you have? Your key skills and your mission statement. And then we collect all that stuff, and at least I have to repeat it in the 3 hours at least 15 times. Do not put the blame on anybody else. It's just me. You're not fighting, you're fighting with me. I'm the only one to fight. And that's fun, because in that moment you see that they are really opening up. Classical thing, building up some word clouds, coming around with just ideas, collecting them. And then you can sum up like this stuff like we did with Billy Brass. Write down as much as you can, and then cancel it out what's not important. And then I give myself a break of 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, everybody else can do whatever they like. And then I confront them with a picture they gave me.
Wow. And how do they usually take that? Actually, how do you deliver it first? So you met with all the departments.
The first thing is, you're not dead, you're alive. You're alive and kicking. It's nice to meet you. I don't know if you like me, because I will be the first or the best character in you coming a nightmare. But the basic idea behind it is really to get the whole thing flexible and fun for everybody.
Nice.
And it's fun because most of the time, accounting and service are giving you the best arguments and the best keywords for the whole marketing operation, the whole structure.
Wow.
Because they are the dead end for all emotions of the clients. They get it, the positive and the negative ones. Engineering does not, middle side administration does it not, execs don't get it. The key account managers, come on. It's just, we call them the breakfast directors, coming in for breakfast and leaving for lunch. That's it. Breakfast. But it's really fun because in that moment you see a certain energy coming together because they all want to fight you.
Yes. Well, and that's a unifying thing too, because I think that's the side effect is that, hey, instead of these two departments, the sales team and the marketing team, that's another one that usually butts heads. You're saying like, no, so you guys are on the same team. You're against me if you're going to be against anybody. That's huge. Michelle, is there? Oh wait,
turn on your mic.
I'm muted. Yes. Thank you for that. As I know Axel, so I've actually been on a slight receiving end of some of his feedback, like kind of when I needed like a come to Jesus moment. And he says like, I'm nasty. I don't think he's nasty. I think that in reality, the way that he provides feedback is very no nonsense. There's no beating around the bush. It's getting straight to the point, and it's well thought out, and it's communicated in this honest way to where maybe they are kind of uniting against Axel to like in a way to like defeat him. But in reality, I left the conversation feeling very positive because the way he communicated it made it seem like there was nothing but opportunity if we just got it right. It wasn't because you were like, how do they react? It doesn't feel like you're getting beat down. It feels like someone is just holding up a mirror to you and saying, you kind of already know this, but let's talk about it and let's get it together.
No, that's fantastic. No, and that's it's information based approach versus an opinion or a biased experience that's driving, what that person just said. All you have to say is, hey, this isn't my opinion. This is just the information I collected from you guys. And so I think that lets you as the marketer or the consultant off the hook too. And you don't have to get emotional about it because, a lot of times as marketers, we'll go in and we'll lead with the thing that we're good at, right? We'll say like, well, email marketing, that's all you need. Like, let's just get it, hit the action button, and we're going to we're going to fix up your emails. You're going to make money. And I think there is a balance with that because a lot of, companies, like I just said, EJ Saunders on the podcast last week, and we talked about how he goes in and he tries to get a win within a week. Like that's his intention. Like he's 10X. I'm going to 10X their investment in me as fast as possible. So is there a balance? Like what happens after you get the dirt? I'm trying to come up with a more positive word for it, but the problem. I come up
with some suggestions they already mentioned. And that's an NLP approach because they already presented a solution within the collecting of data. So, like you said, Mr. de Grasse, we should keep an eye on this one. And like you said, Mr. Vangelatis, we should really emphasize on that approach. My suggestions, I've got nice specialists within my network. They will assist you to put that in nice words, good pictures, even nice videos. And I will do the first trainings on the job for your personal staff in the business, in your company, to do all the communication with the clients. I will ask for some of your key clients if they allow us to do an interview, recorded interview, because we want to get better. We want to get better solutions, easier communications, and more, let's say, less clutter. Get it more straight and more down to the line. And that gives me two opportunities. One, they say, no, we have got our own agencies. We always work with Mr. So-and-so, he does our web design. Mr. Bullis, James has to be there first front. Or they're getting flexible. I said, okay, come on. We don't put any kind of invoices up here. Let's see what we can change. If we can change actually your turnover, your revenues within the next 3 months to, let's say, 5 to 10% by just doing marketing with your existing clients, you pay amount XY. If not, who cares? You paid the first day and we are out.
No, it's a great way to do it. So I think, it's very non-threatening, I think is the word for it, where it's like,
it's inviting. It's more inviting.
And natural. It does. Yeah. I think a lot of times with marketing companies, they'll come off not manipulative, but basically like, I'm going to chisel away at your company until we get it into shape, versus your method just sounds more organic and like, hey, let's get the feedback. Let's not do anything too brash. It's going to be driven by our dreams or our vision instead.
To be honest, we're all coaches. We know our business. The older we get, the more experience we have. I'm 60 now. I'm more than 30 years in business. First in the hotel, then with at 19 business I opened and sold again. Wow. And many I had brought back to the road of success. So this kind of background you have. I love to work with younger guys who are coming up with new ideas, but sometimes come on, ease out.
Yeah.
It's already said, it's done, it's overdone. You won't chew that steak anymore because it's more out of a soul. It won't work anymore. Listen what they said. And I had many situations where new executive managers came into really well-established businesses and tried to put their mark on them. Yeah. And they failed totally. In Germany, we have got this business situation called the Meister. He's the head of, for example, the service department. He does all the communication with the clients, but he is a traditionalist. He is never flexible. And usually the new, that's Buckhead said, if all said come in, they're like, you must change. They will never change.
Oh.
And it's impolite to ask them for a change. It's better to really implement them into your new ideas.
Mm.
What do you think about this approach? What is your experience when you talk to your clients regarding the solution for that and that problem? Is there a way we can shorten that? Is there a way to make it more comfortable for the client? Because the same moment somebody is asking about bringing the stuff home, he already bought. The decision is made. There's nothing more you can talk about. The only thing you can offer is we've even got an even financing system in the background if you really want to upscale it to from a standard combined to a specialized individualized one. And that's the approach behind it. It's extremely human orientated. It's always understanding. It's never offending, and it's always customer orientated.
I love that. Well, I think, your best employees are the ones that are, always thinking about the customer and what they want and what they need and what their issues are. And I think it is tough to balance that out with what everybody else wants to do, which is take action and launch things and build new things and do all the stuff that's really the fun part of business. Nobody wants to say like, what, if we just get our systems down right and take care of our existing customers, that's not sexy. And it's and especially for marketers, when you're trying to go in there, trying to make a big impact, you're trying to make some changes. It could be, trying for those people to go and be like, what, this has been established. Your head of customer care has been there for 20 years. You are not going to change them. And if your attempt is to get them to change or get them to leave, which happens too, where like, well, that person has to go. They're not part of the new system, is abrasive from a consulting perspective.
Absolutely. I want to give you two examples. I usually evaluate a hotel company or a hospitality group company by their repeat clients, returning clients, over a period of 1 year. With us at home, it's 57 to 65%. That's for a 5-star superior. It's a very decent number. I do that with somebody working in plumbing. I do that with a constructor or contractor, or somebody who sells and takes care about cars too. And most of them don't reach the 50%. And it's always just communication. It's not the issue of problems, not solved problems. It's just miscommunication. And not really setting up the mental approach to a brand within the client. Here I am, you got a problem, I try to solve it. You pay me for your peace of mind. You do not buy a product, you buy peace of mind. When you go down to farming, you buy a combine, and we've got the service branch behind it. So if you're really on your field working with it, you got into trouble, we'll be there in 30 minutes and you'll be back up and running within an hour. That's peace of mind for everyone who's investing in that area. And that's the fun stuff.
It's huge. Well, and then the cost is like, and I think it's kind of funny because most of the time everybody looks at cost first, right? Like who's the cheapest in the market? But, just from, companies I'll hire for, say, my house or whatever, if I know they're going to get the job done and do exactly what they're going to say, the cost it always matters, but it's going to matter way less because we've all been through going through the cheapest people, and you go from the cheapest person and it's a crappy service and you hate it and they do a bad job. And then you switch to another cheapest service and they're crappy and you hate it. And you keep on going like that until you finally realize like, no, I just want somebody who's going to do what they say. And then I'll send them business. I'll do all these different things, but there are very few companies that have actually taken the time to do that. And, I don't know how it is in Europe, but like landscapers is like that here, where it's just like, oh my gosh, I just want to hire somebody and know that they're going to come every couple of weeks. How is that this difficult to figure out? And just so everybody knows that even in the most basic businesses, there's so many opportunities because it's so hard to find anybody who's good and is going to stick around for more than a few months before they, get bored.
But if you have got a good landscaper, you will talk about him. You will recommend.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, my parents talk about the same guy they've been using for 20 years. And I'm like, yeah. I've been through dozens. Like I can't.
In Germany, we have got a simple saying, if you buy cheap, you buy twice.
Yeah.
And I think that simply hits it. I want a service, I want a result. And usually when I talk to somebody, like with a contractor in here with my house, I say, come on, let's take a look at the wall. You know me, I'm an asshole. Sorry that I said that, but I'm pretty picky if somebody is really failing. I said, okay, come on, I need it fast, and I don't care about the price. I want a solution.
Yeah. Save you money.
So it was done within 24 hours. So it was cheap. Because every day I look at this unplastered wall, it drives me nuts. No. Talks about my personal failure.
No, I know that goes. Well, I think this has been fantastic tips. We do have a lot of awesome, agencies on here today. So if you were going to say to them, hey, if you want to increase your referral business in the next couple weeks, what would you recommend that they do, like now to make that happen?
Listen to the clients of your customer. Don't be, let's say, flashed by their media appearance, by their nice office at a good coffee. Talk to their clients.
Oh, easy peasy. So, yeah. And how do you specifically, if you have to lay it out, because nobody's done this before, what would you say? They should call up the client. Hey, Bill, I'm wondering if I could talk to a few of your clients. Could you send me a list?
Different approach. How much do you pay on getting new clients? And everybody has a figure on that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, come on, let's spend 25% of that amount in reconnecting to your existing clients. And I bet that you will make more money out of them.
Now, when you say use that 25%, what are you saying? Send them gifts and set up meetings with them? And I mean, what is it?
Contact. Communicate, establish a system within your company for client communication, information and communication. You can set up special social groups like you have at the digital marketers within Facebook. You can invite them to the new channels at Blue Sky, wherever you want to have them. And we will give you first-hand information about new products, especially for you. Would you like to join us on that one? We can recommend you, we can remind you of all situations that might come up with a solution you bought from us frequently, if you like to. Would you like to be one of our VIP clients? The same moment you come up with VIP, everybody usually ding, wakes up.
Oh, that's true. Well, and that's so easy because we all know who, your best client is, right? They love you. They, pay with no problems. They've been around forever. And all you have to do is go to them and say, hey, why the heck do you like me?
Or set something out like price for recommendation. If you recommend us, wait for the surprise. And what I usually do, if I've got a recommendation, it's pretty interesting. I send the wife of my client an invitation for dinner for both of them. Ooh. Not to him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It has a much better social impact.
Oh, it's huge.
It's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, at dinner, it's so funny because it's, we always talk about swag and all these custom things, but yeah, just food. Like, how about...
No,
a nice meal.
You check out actually where they live, where the best restaurant, give them an open evening ticket for dining. Perfect. For 2 persons, enjoy yourself. Thanks for the recommendation.
That's fantastic.
Talk to the head waiter.
How do you train the client on introducing you? Is there a way that you say like, hey, the best way to send me business is X, or do you just kind of like organic?
No, I should just come up as a coach or friend, friend of mine or coach, business coach.
Keep it casual.
Yeah. No specialists, because I cannot answer any kind of combined questions. I cannot ask any questions about landscaping, but I can answer questions about human reactions.
Love that. Now, I will say that some people might not have your approach, because you have a very cool, collected, thoughtful approach to speaking. If you have somebody who's maybe a little bit more awkward than that, that might not have the charm or ability to guide conversation after it starts. Do you have a couple questions they could ask to kind of get the conversation rolling?
The first thing is, when did you talk to your clients the last time? When you talk to your clients, did you have a questionnaire? Or did you chit-chat? How long does it usually take to solve a problem a customer has? How welcome is a complaint in your company?
Love that.
How do you deal with accounts aging? What kind of benefit do people have who pay large sums immediately? Is it a rebate, discount, special approach, giveaway, whatever? And when did you last time sit all together and were talking about the reality of your company?
Well, and you know, it's, oh, go ahead.
And last thing is usually, who hates whom the most?
Spice it up.
Yeah.
Love that.
In all companies, you find at least two departments not working together. Everywhere. The hotel business is always the kitchen and the service. There's a kind of hate wall between them. Because the waiter will always tell, oh, they goofed it in the kitchen. And
well,
usually it's fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's trigger, you know, because I think if you could just get to that, now you've already kind of established yourself more, you know, thoughtful than just another person trying to make more sales or get the referral or whatever it is. It goes directly to the issue that people probably want to talk about and are never asked about, because everybody's like, oh God, he's always complaining about that. I better not bring it up. But instead you just go charge in there and get the conversation started with these. And that's fantastic. So I love the methodology, and I think it's something that we could all do.
And when you get more into the routine with it, you can set up a questionnaire highly individualized for the company or your client. And they can ask this kind of questionnaire to all of their clients. And they can, even if they get the allowance, they can record them. They can make videos out of them. And just giving them different faces, different backgrounds, different ideas, and all answering the same questions with a positive end, the positive emphasis, it works. And the final thing for me is always, can I get the executive or owner producing their own videos? Because I highly dislike if a marketing specialist within the company produces extremely nice and sober content, not knowing the least about the back and the history of the company. I try always to ask the owners or the entrepreneurs, can you tell your own story? Because it might be interesting to your clients.
Love that. Well, I think for, you know, and just this entire discussion, I think what we've been talking about is retention. And just so all the marketers and all the agencies out there, there is a big shift happening where people are really focusing on retention, and acquisition is taking a back seat. And I've seen it in a whole bunch of different business levels and, you know, revenue levels, where I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's thinking about that right now, because I think a lot of the paid systems are not working like they used to, and they're getting more expensive and more competitive. And so if you are leading with retention, it's probably the first time, at least since I've been doing this, which is like 20 years, that's been anybody's concern, because it's always been.
Think about it. We've got an absolute information overflow. We've got a media overflow. We've got an input overflow. And how would you feel about somebody really pulling the brake and asking you, hey, Mark, thanks for having us doing your landscaping. What did you like most? What did you like least? What can we do better next time?
I think I've ever had.
It's like,
question. What? You care?
Yeah, what?
It's the first time ever. No, that's huge. I'd say if you everybody needs one thing that you can do. If you just did that after you finish a project, you'd be ahead of most companies. I'd say
Absolutely.
90%. Yeah, easy peasy. Well, thank you so much, Axel. I think this has been a fantastic talk. I think your methodology is fantastic. It's honest. It's it shows a lot of empathy for the client and their situation, and it's just profitable. I think that's the best part of everything that we discussed.
Pays off perfectly.
It pays off. Like all these things that feel like you're being altruistic, like, oh, well, I'm trying to care about my customer because that's the right thing to do. It's like, no, it's just the profitable thing to do. Like, just do it. They'll love you. You'll love the relationship. The income will come easier. Everybody's happy, and you get to feel good about it because you're delivering the service that you promised in the first place. You're good to go.
And you don't have to play theater at all. If you don't,
Yes.
if you're not capable of something, ask somebody up to assist you. Get away from your throne and be yourself.
Love it.
That would be great.
Fantastic message. Well, thank you so much, Axel. I really appreciate the time. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find out more info?
Was fun. Any questions?
I think we have a few. Michelle did a good job. I just like to blah. Michelle, were there any questions we missed?
No, I think Axel pretty much answered them as they happened.
I had an eye on the chat.
Well, your pace, I actually love it because, whenever I get, the mic, I end up being like, well, I got to say everything because this is the only shot I get. But you're just like very thoughtful and very considerate. And it's fantastic. This is great. Good job.
It's a different approach for the same target.
Fantastic. But last time, do you have a website that people could find you at, or should they just
it won't help at all.
It won't help at all. Go on LinkedIn.
I would put it in the Facebook group.
Great.
It's neg.team.
And
I already had that, and my.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. We'll put it in chat.
I'm really flying beneath the radar because I don't want to have more business and new business over the website.
Too bad. It's probably going to happen. I tried to avoid the limelight for a long time too, and then it didn't work out. And now I talk to people constantly.
But I changed my approach because I will work together with Billy Bros, and I will be the first 5 light bulbs guy in Europe working with that stuff.
That's fantastic. Oh, it's great. Well, and I think your guys' principles and philosophy and methodology really go online. So let me know how that goes. I would love to, do an article with a case study or at least a podcast episode talking about it. So keep me up to date.
Keep you updated.
Yes, please. And thank you all for coming. I love seeing the, the faces, Gabe, Sin, James. This has been a fantastic session, and I love seeing you guys. So have a good weekend. Try not to work too hard. I was up till 3 a.m. last night, so I'm not working hard this weekend. I'm tired.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.
You're gonna earn it. All right. See y'all. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.